Hey guys, Supreme here. Finding a shiny Pokemon should be one of the most exciting moments in any trainer's playthrough. But there are exceptions.
Yeah, like when you can't bloody catch them.
Okay, so I've been a shiny hunter for a good 6 years now, so naturally, I've learned a few things. 1. Shinies appear when you least expect them. 2. Seeing 8,192 Pokemon does not guarantee you anything. And 3. Random shinies are still the most exciting. Usually. That's because there's something else you learn, and for most, it's learned the hard way. There are just some shinies you never want to encounter. Yep, you guessed it, these trolls are uncatchable. And for some ridiculous reason, it happens way too often. That's why today, we're counting down 10 shiny Pokemon you'll never catch. Now this was a pretty in-depth list, so I brought along a special guest to help break it down.
Hello people, I'm TheAuraGuardian, or just Alex. And like Dallas said, we're going to be looking at 10 of the most annoying shiny Pokemon. Annoying not because they're hard to catch, but because they're impossible to catch. Now because all the shinies on this list are equally uncatchable, we went ahead and just put them in chronological order. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 10. The Uncatchable Shiny Poochyena in Ruby and Sapphire. So at the start of these games, a wild Poochyena is attacking Professor Birch, and it's up to you, an inexperienced 10-year-old child, to choose a starter to save this fully grown man, a Pokemon professor to be more specific. Why he can't handle this level 2 Pooch, I'll never know. But we're not here to judge. The real problem is that being the first wild encounter of the game, nothing prevents it from changing its natures, having different stats, and most importantly, being shiny. And because you've chosen your first Pokemon literally seconds before, you have no Pokeballs to catch it with. This makes it a tragic moment for any, and a nightmare for shiny hunters, as you can't hunt a shiny starter without risking the possibility of finding this shiny Poochyena, possibly at least once. Or 6 times. LOL.
Number 9. Wally's Uncatchable Ralts in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Just when you thought these games were safe, Game Freak slams you again. This time it happens when good old Wally decides to show you how to catch a Pokemon. Seems innocent enough, right? That is until the Ralts he encounters decides to be shiny. Now because it's his encounter and not yours, he's the one who gets to battle it, and you just have to sit back and watch. You're gonna attack it again? Okay, no, that's fine. Ugh. Eventually, he does catch it, and this honestly wouldn't be the end of the world. I actually wouldn't mind seeing it every time I battled him, but unfortunately, it does not stay shiny, and thus is a complete waste.
Number 8. Uncatchable shinies in the Battle Pyramid and the Battle Pike in Pokemon Emerald. Yes, number 8, and we're still in Hoenn. At the Battle Frontier, 2 of the arenas are named the Battle Pyramid and the Battle Pike, and both enable you to encounter wild Pokemon in between battles, with trainers. The Pokemon you may encounter vary, but among the few are Vileplume, Electabuzz, and Dusclops. Unsurprisingly enough, these wild Pokemon can be shiny. But if they're wild Pokemon, what makes them uncatchable? Well, upon entering the facility, you're unable to use any items in your regular trainer bag, which normally prevents you from spamming revives and full restores. The catch is, this also means no Pokeballs. But the worst part about this is, when you try to go through your bag during battle, the words, "items can't be used now," will appear on the screen. Reading these words in the presence of a shiny will not only make your heart sink, but it also shows just how cruel these games can be. Seriously, whenever someone runs into a shiny in these 2 areas, all they can see is a middle finger.
Number 7. Uncatchable shinies at the Trainer Tower in Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. Once again, we find ourselves in a battle facility, but this time it's in the Sevi Islands of LeafGreen and FireRed. Here at the Trainer Tower, you take on numerous challengers in an attempt to rise to the top and eventually defeat all 8 floors. But in the process, you take on 3 trainers that have a Pokemon that stand out from the rest. That's right, somehow these 3 trainers are packing shinies. There's a Shiny Slaking, a Shiny Meowth, and a Shiny Espeon. But unless you want to pull a Team Rocket, these beauties are not up for grabs. Now don't get me wrong, it's a cool thing to see actual trainers using shiny Pokemon in-game, but when you realize they could have been wild shinies that you can actually keep, it's kind of hard to stay excited about it.
Number 6. The Uncatchable Shiny Starly in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Now this one is very similar to the Poochyena we mentioned earlier. Right after choosing your starter, the main characters find themselves in a heated battle with a tougher than nails, level 2 Starly. And once again, for some godforsaken reason, it too can be shiny. We have no idea why this tragedy wasn't fixed in the 4th generation, but with no Pokeballs to catch it with, your only options are either to run away or faint it. Why, Game Freak? Why?
Number 5. Professor Juniper's Uncatchable Shiny Minccino in Pokemon Black and White. Surely the problem is fixed in Generation 5, right? Wrong. In fact, quite the contrary. As you probably know, at the beginning of every new Pokemon game, the new professor decides to show you everything you need to know about the journey ahead. And obviously, this includes what a Pokemon is. In this case, it's Professor Juniper showing off her beloved Minccino. And for good reason, because yup, you guessed it. It's shiny. Well, sometimes. That's right, somehow it was coded in the games that even before your journey begins, you can fail a shiny Pokemon. I have no idea why this happens or even how it works, but it does. So thanks, Game Freak. But don't worry, I promise after this one, Generation 5 is safe.
Actually, it's not. Number 4. The Uncatchable Shiny Purloin in Pokemon Black and White 2. In these games, the character Bianca decides to show you the ropes of catching a Pokemon, and does so by encountering a wild Purloin in the grass. And just like with Wally and his Ralts, because this thing is random encountered, she might get super lucky, luckier than you, and find a shiny one. After this, the situation is almost exactly like the same one before. She attacks it, then catches it. But that's where the similarities end. In future battles, Bianca has a few new Pokemon on her team, and the Purloin is mysteriously nowhere to be found. Now you can choose to believe that the game erased it for good, but we've chosen to believe that it may just be relaxing in her PC box, and being treated like the prize that it truly is. Or the dump just released it like an idiot.
Yo, dude, language! There are kids watching this!
Oh. Sorry.
Number 3. The Uncatchable Shiny Legendary Dogs in Pokemon Black and White. Now this one's tricky because it uses a code to remove a shiny check that normally prevents certain Pokemon from being shiny. But even so, this might be the most interesting shiny on this list. Now when you're encountering the Pokemon Zoroark for the first time, it appears as Raikou, Suicune, or Entei using its illusion ability. But once you attack it, it turns back into Zoroark, showing its true colors. Literally. It just so happens that the legendary dog and the Zoroark can both be shiny. But what makes this so screwed up is that just because one is shiny doesn't mean the other is. Basically what this means is you could find a shiny Suicune, but once you attack it and it turns back into a Zoroark, that shiny's gone. And I mean gone, uncatchable. The fact that this was even discovered is astounding, and it gives a good reason as to why they shiny checked it in the first place. But even though having this happen to you is a tragedy and a half, it's still super interesting to know that something like this is possible.
Number 2. 2 shinies in one horde. Or 3. Or 4. Or 5 if you are somehow the luckiest and at the same time unluckiest person in the world. When Generation 6 came along, a new encounter style where a horde of 5 Pokemon appearing all at once was introduced. Naturally, shiny hunters found a way to spam these encounters, using the move Sweet Scent in order to increase their encounter rates, and thus find shinies super quickly. But because so many hunters were using this method alongside the shiny charm, it was bound to happen. 2 shinies in one horde. Now this is an incredible thing to witness, as it is extremely rare, but it's bittersweet because you can't throw a Pokeball until there's only one Pokemon left. This means in order to catch one of the shinies, you have to faint the other. Like the monster you really are.
Number 1. Shiny Zygarde. Now I know this one may seem a little out of place compared to the other ones, but hear me out. When Pokemon X and Y came out, a ton of shiny hunters sped through the game with the full intent on soft resetting thousands of times for a Zygarde, which they did. They also had the full expectations of finding one, which they didn't. Sadly, much like many other in-game legends, Zygarde is shiny locked, which basically means you can hunt for it all you want, but you will never find a shiny one. Just imagine a shiny hunter searching for this thing and not knowing if it can be shiny or not.
Hey guys, Pre-Market9s here. I gave up on my starter hunt. I needed to play through the game, but as you can see, I have finally arrived at Zygarde, and I'm planning to soft reset this thing until I get it shiny. I will not stop. I'm super excited. We don't know what the shiny looks like yet, but I'm gonna be the first one to get it. I have a good feeling about this.
I feel terrible for the people who actually attempted this, but the thing that separates the Z-Man from the rest of these legendaries is that there are still 0 legitimate ways to actually get it shiny. Both of the other 6th gen legendaries were in the same boat, but recently got shiny events, so now shiny Xerneas and shiny Yveltal are accessible legitimately. But don't get it twisted, Zygarde got an event too, for a regular one, just like the one in-game. Yeah. Now I'm not really sure why Game Freak is being so exclusive with such a beautiful shiny, but as it stands right now, this is just another shiny you'll never be able to catch.
Or you could just power save it, which is what everyone does.
Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this edition. I hope you enjoyed this countdown. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and also a special thanks goes to Alex TheAuraGuardian for helping me out.
Thanks so much for having me on your channel. In fact, we enjoyed talking about shiny Pokemon so much, we decided to talk about some other annoying shiny Pokemon over on my channel. This time, these shinies can actually be obtained. They're just really, really hard. Like seriously, some of the shinies we talk about, not even the extremist of shiny hunters would even attempt some of these shinies.
But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new and you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe for more. But until next time, this is Supreme Arcanine signing out. I will see you guys later.